It's Christmas Eve.
Mm.
My mother is out shopping for Christmas presents. I don't know if she did everything at the last minute, but this was definitely last minute. There's 6 kids, and she's got 5 of them with her shopping. And there was a knock on the front door, and I opened the door, and it was a full bird colonel. And if you're an Air Force brat and a full bird colonel is sitting at your door and your dad's in Vietnam, flying, I had no idea how dangerous the missions were that he was flying at the time. I don't think he even let on, to my mother, much less to the kids. He would say children, but I was respectful, but I said, oh, he asked my mother, and I said, oh, she's not home. You can go away now. And she wasn't home. And so he was parked in one of those, Dodge Darts, government issue, can still see the car, can still see him. And it was right in front of the house. He got in the car and he just sat there and waited. And so I knew this wasn't any particularly joyful, message he was going to give. So I got on the phone immediately to my mother's father, my grandfather Randall, who was a retired colonel in the Army. And he lived close. He lived in Palos Verdes. We were in San Pedro at the time. And so I said, hey, there's a officer here, colonel, and he and my grandmother got in the car and started driving to our house in San Pedro. And in the meantime, unfortunately, I looked outside and that guy wasn't going away. He probably, I've come to forgive him doing his job, but for decades and decades and decades, I truly hated him because he could have at least driven his car around the block, and I subsequently read an article written by one of those fellows, one of those colonels who went and knocked on the doors of servicemen that they believed were missing in action or killed in action. And the fellow who wrote that article, it was incredibly moving, what he had to do and how he had to deal with the trauma and the grief. And that's one of the reasons I was able to forgive him, because he just didn't get it. My father and mother's relationship was just, the other than the one I have with my wife today, Kathy, the ultimate and true love. He had these 5 kids at the time, and he'd get home, and he was gone a lot. He was working hard. He flew to different places, Johnson's Island. I remember a lot. He would go out there, and because he was with Space and Missile Systems Organization, and he was a master's in biomechanics. So she would beat us to the door. You could hear the little kids, "Daddy's home," and she'd be sitting there hanging in his arms because he's a big 6'3", 6'4" guy, and she was not small. She was 5'9", but you could see her feet dangling, and that was their relationship. And so when she got home, my grandfather, her dad, was there already, and he said, "Let me just take care of this." And the colonel said, "No, I've got to speak to her. This is colonel to colonel," and he's like, "No, I've got to speak to her." And the Bible has a word, and it's from the time when all the children in Jerusalem, ages 2 and under, were executed because Herod had heard that a new king had been born, and he executed all those under the age of 2, and the word was keening. He said the streets were filled with keening in the Bible, and I never knew what that word was until I heard my mother after she got that news. Just truly agony and a pouring of pain, just an outpouring of pain. So, that's the start of this. I'd gone, and I'm Catholic, and I lit a candle and prayed that he'd be brought home, that he would make it home. And I trusted he would, for a lot of reasons. I mean, he was one of those people, obviously when you miss somebody, there's this illusion of grandeur, you can do no wrong. And he carried that